The special meeting of the Annapolis City Council will be called to order on Monday, July 24th at 7 p.m. At this time, please join us for the invocation given by Alderman Tierney, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In anticipation of our August break, I have an Irish blessing, even though I'm not Irish, well, perhaps in name only. My husband is, but may the road rise to meet you, and may the wind be always at your back, and may the sun shine warm upon your face, the rains fall soft upon your fields, and until we meet again in September, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley.
Here.
Alderwoman Tierney.
Present.
Alderwoman O'Neill. Present. Alderwoman Pendle Charles.
Present.
Alderwoman Finlayson.
Present.
Alderman Shonda Meyer.
Present.
Alderman Gay. Alderman Savage.
Present.
Alderman Arnett.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Please present the first item on the agenda.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
This time I'd like to entertain a motion.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley.
Aye.
Alderman Savage.
Aye.
Alderman Arnett.
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney. Aye.
Aye.
Alderman O'Neill. Aye. Alderman Pendle Charles.
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson.
Aye.
Alderman Shonda Meyer.
Aye.
Alderman Gay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item.
The next item on the agenda is the ceremonial items, beginning with ID 13523, National Preparedness Month citation for the City of Annapolis in September.
Thank you. Alderman Pendle Charles. And we could get OEM to come forward.
Have you met the new person, Taylor? She's nice.
In OEM? No, I have not.
Short for
Always nice. Does she come Friday?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Small in number, but mighty in deeds. City of Annapolis proclamation. Whereas as a coastal community, the City of Annapolis faces risks associated with hurricanes, tropical storms, floods, as well as tornadoes, and recognizes the importance of individual and community preparedness for emergencies and disasters. And whereas each September, National Preparedness Month is observed nationwide and in Annapolis to raise awareness about the importance of preparedness and encourage all individuals, families, businesses, and communities to take action to be better prepared for emergencies. And whereas the City of Annapolis is committed to safeguarding the well-being of its residents, businesses, and visitors, and aims to enhance the overall resilience and readiness of the community by encouraging all residents, businesses, organizations, and schools to participate in preparedness activities throughout the month. And whereas it is vital for residents and businesses in the City of Annapolis to be prepared for potential hazards such as severe weather events, flooding, power outages, public health emergencies, and other unforeseen incidents. The City of Annapolis actively encourages residents and businesses to create and maintain supply kits, emergency plans, and communication strategies to stay prepared. And whereas the City Council requests that the Office of Emergency Management and other relevant departments enhance public outreach efforts during National Preparedness Month, providing residents with information, resources, and guidance on preparedness measures specific to the City of Annapolis, and therefore by dedicating an entire month to promote preparedness, the City of Annapolis recognizes the importance of promoting emergency preparedness and fostering a culture of safety, resilience, knowledge, and proactive planning among our citizens. Now therefore, I, Gavin Buckley, Mayor of the City of Annapolis, Maryland, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as National Preparedness Month in the City of Annapolis. Gavin Buckley, Mayor, in witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the Great Seal of the City of Annapolis to be affixed this 24th day of July in the year of our Lord, 2023. Congratulations. As most of you all know, we do not meet in August, and this is our last meeting in July for this year as we go into the next section of our year. So we're doing this now because we do not meet in August. But thank you all so very much.
Let's give this to you guys and we'll get a quick picture of the front here.
Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is petitions, reports, and communications, beginning with an update from the mayor.
So good evening, everyone. Earlier today, I had the good fortune to attend the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Save Station, an AED at Truxton Pickleball and Tennis Courts. An installation of the Save Station was made possible by Bay Capital Mortgage and the Annapolis Pickleball Club. Just for everyone, an AED is a defibrillator and other things as well. The AED was donated by Gina Rhoda and dedicated in memory of her late husband Phil and late son Zach. The AED device is housed in a unit that protects it from the elements and ensures that it is charged and ready to go in the event of an emergency. I want to give a special shout out to Annapolis Fire Captain Aaron Edwards, who presented to the Pickleball Club on the AED device, CPR and first aid. Battalion Chief John Ortlieb and Annapolis Fire Chief Doug Romali have been instrumental in helping set up an AED and also training for it. Time is critically important in a cardiac event, and we know that the proper use of an AED can more than double the survival rate. As the Chief said, we hope we never have to use it, but if someone needs it, we will surely be happy that it is there. So let's get a round of applause for everybody who put that effort there. Starting today, the Annapolis Task Force on Municipal Elections has launched a questionnaire to solicit feedback from Annapolis voters. The link is on the homepage at www.annapolis.gov, and the questions should take 2 to 3 minutes to answer. The link will be live until August 11th, and then the task force will review the results. So thank you. Because this is our last meeting before the August break, I want to give you notice of some events that are happening in the city next month. So for the next 6 Thursdays, our community engagement teams will be hosting pop-up neighbourhood resource fairs. This week is on Newtown Drive, serving Wilbourn Estates, Homes of the Glen and Woodside Gardens. On August 3rd, Harbour House and Eastport Terrace. The 10th at Chambers Park in Parole. The 17th at Robinwood. The 24th at Bay Ridge Gardens, and the 31st at Annapolis Walk. Each event is from 1 to 4 and it is free. On Tuesday, August 1st, we've got National Night Out at 3 locations: Annapolis Gardens, Bay Ridge Gardens, and the Mike Bush Library. It is an opportunity to positively engage with police, fire, OEM, and community public safety organisations. It is open to all ages, and there will be free food and games and giveaways. That is Tuesday evening, August 1st. from 5 to 8 p.m. Later that same week, we have the annual Rotary Club Feast at the Naval Stadium on Friday, August 4th. This is the 78th anniversary of the event and the 10th year that it has been zero waste. Ticket sales end this Thursday, so don't miss out on the world's largest community crab feast, a true Annapolis tradition. Let's give that a round of applause. 78 years. We have First Sundays on August 6th on Inner West Street. Dinner Under the Stars is ongoing each Wednesday and Saturday night. August 13th from 9 to 1 p.m. is the Corvette Car Show on Inner West Street. The Annapolis Seafood Festival, very excited about this, is coming back to City Dock. It will take place on August 19th and 20th at City Dock. We've got some road closures and parking restrictions during that event on the dock, but with the Hillman parking garage open, parking shouldn't be a problem. Our new slogan is Annapolis, more parking than what we know what to do with. As you might have noticed when you came in, there were 300 or 400 spaces there. August 26th is the 50th anniversary of the 1963 March on Washington and the Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. On that day is the Old Fourth Ward's Unity Day at People's Park. Also, the Annapolis 10 Miler will take place on Sunday, August 27th. The run starts at Navy Stadium at 7 a.m., heads downtown and then goes up King George to the Naval Academy Bridge, then back to the stadium. Please be alert for rolling road closures. I thank our emergency service team, especially fire and paramedics, who are helping folks in the August heat stay safe. I might be one of those folks, so I'm glad that they're going to be there as well, just in case I go down, which I probably will. And this is in August, but you should think about getting tickets soon, because the musical headliners who are coming to Annapolis for the Annapolis Singer-Songwriter Festival on September 14th and 17th. I'm going to tell you who those headliners are in a minute. There is a lot of free entertainment with that festival. I think 60 or 70% of the music events are free in venues throughout the city in open spaces. But then you can get ticket events for City Dock and Maryland Hall and other locations. There are 40 artists scheduled to perform. This year's headliners are Leanne Rimes, and Blondie. And my speechwriter's making me say this. Please be there one way or another. For all the Deborah Harry fans out there, she's going to be singing at City Dock, which is a huge coup for us to get Blondie here, which is awesome. Lastly, per City Code, the Annapolis City Council will not be meeting in the next few weeks. Please know the work of the city does not stop because council meetings are in recess. For example, we're anticipating a hot few days coming up later this week. The heat index will reach between 104 and 110 degrees starting Wednesday through the weekend. Please check in on your neighbours who may be vulnerable to heat. The city's Office of Emergency Management is expected to open our cooling centres, so check the city website and social media pages for information, or call the non-emergency number 410-260-2211 if you or someone you know needs help. In addition, on Thursday and Friday, two of the hottest days this week, probably this year, admission to the Truxton Park pool will be free for city residents after 4 p.m. You just have to bring an ID. So on those hot nights, please come on by and have a free swim on the City of Annapolis. Thank you all. Now let's get on with the meeting. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, next item.
The next item on the agenda is a report by committees.
Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the last Environmental Matters Committee meeting, we started to discuss the comprehensive plan, and in particular the two chapters dealing with the environment. We didn't have time to get into some of the actual goals and policy recommendations, so I think we may be taking that on our next meeting in September, which is going to be on September 14th at 3. We also had a discussion with the harbor master about some of the city dock, the Burgess dock leases, which is going to come up tonight, and I'll just save my, I guess, report for that. And with that, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Transportation Committee met on July 12th. We talked about the 04922 legislation, gave most of the amendments favorable recommendation to come to City Council. We also received a brief presentation from Director Moore from Transportation Department about the pilot program that will be taking place later this year for on-demand transportation, which we're really excited about. So all of those people that were sad about the Annapolis Go leaving, there will be a pilot program starting hopefully by the first part of September. And we also talked about the transportation approach to the Annapolis Ahead 2040. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, September 13th at 4 p.m. in City Hall.
Thank you. Alderman Pendle-Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Public Safety Standing Committee met on July the 19th. At that time, we took up 1923 legislation, property tax credits for 911 specialists and public safety officers, and we recommended that piece of legislation favorably to the council. We also had a very robust and general discussion from the Annapolis Police Department for pretty much 2.5 hours. We covered the following topics: inspection audit, CALEA accreditation update, body-worn cameras in the chief's recent meeting on Capitol Hill with nationwide police chiefs, FBI Academy, marijuana training for officers, workload study update, Leadership Anne Arundel, September 23rd, Police Law Enforcement Women's Conference in Annapolis, reorganization and reorg chart, including resources, ring cameras, neighborhood watch, drones, grant manager and grant writer positions, Facebook Live Protect and Serve broadcast, Fall 2023 City Council work session, APD training with council akin to Office of Laws recently, and a conclusion, it was very well received. Our next meeting will be in September, normally the first Monday, but that is Labor Day, so we will reschedule and have another date selected. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Tierney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met July 19th. We reviewed legislation 020-23, took no action because of the because I think of the withdrawal. The same with R31-23. We took no action. The wooden sailboat race and rendezvous because of the withdrawal. R32-23, the Annapolis All-Star Youth Sports Program fee waiver. We recommended favorably 2-to-1 with an amendment that you will see in tonight's agenda. We also had a update from our finance director, Jody Dickinson. She was kind enough to give us an update on the Market House situation. And then also we had a presentation through a fiscal lens, if you will, on the comp plan by Eric Lashinsky. It was really a great discussion. Alderman Schottlemeyer's development study thing came up as far as optimizing sites, et cetera, for development. So thank you, Eric. And our next meeting is Wednesday, September 4th at 10:30 a.m. Thank you. Oh, that comes up soon.
Thank you. Alderman Shanamar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Economic Matters Committee did not meet in July. This is because the comprehensive plan has already been discussed in Economic Matters approximately 2 months ago. Mr. Lashinsky said we would not really be covering new ground, so we decided instead of retreading, we'd just move forward. We will be meeting on September 20th at 6:30 p.m. here in Council Chambers, and I will just give a shout out though to a business that had a grand reopening. Sweethearts Patisserie in Ward 5 opened up their new space, and a hearty congratulations to them.
Thank you. Alderman Annette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Audit Committee met last Monday morning, and we conducted our normal business, but we also got an update from the Finance Director on the Market House lease and financial reporting. That's a work in progress, but it seems like it's proceeding smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sorry, Sheila, I apologise. How you doing? Alderman Finlayson?
Good, thank you. The Rules and City Government Committee did not meet in the month of July. Our next meeting will be Friday, September 8th at 1 o'clock in council chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is comments by the general public.
All right, first up to speak on the list is Karen Brown. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Karen Brown, and I'm the president and CEO of Historic Annapolis. I'm requesting that the city reconvene the City Dock Action Committee to discuss the current city plans. Thank you. We know that you've had several meetings on this very complex project. Project managers have presented to various city committees. Most recently, 6 weeks ago, they presented at a city council work session where the public could not comment. The City Dock Action Committee, 100 people who have a vested interest and expertise associated with the project, have not been briefed for over 6 months, and prior to that, they have not been briefed since February of 2022. This group has not convened in person since COVID. Admittedly, this is a very complex, major project that has a multitude of moving parts. Design aspects of the plan are continually changing and adapting. Still, we've been told by Eileen Fogarty that you're now in the design and construction phase. For being that far advanced in the planning process, we have not seen sections so we can understand how the parts relate to one another. This leads to a conflation of aspects of the project and blurs the lines between public and private development. It's a public project and a complicated project, one that'll be better with continued public involvement. In light of the fact that you're bringing on a new planning director and a new director of public works, this is an opportunity for them to hear where there is great consensus and where there are elements that need further discussion to ensure that they align with the guiding principles set forth in the plan that was endorsed by City Council. Historic Annapolis was a leading partner in this project since its inception. We are very invested and committed to the success of this project. As a reminder, we funded and managed the ULI TAP. We subsequently brought Eileen on as a consultant to help organize robust community involvement to develop the plan. Together, we created a process that was considered a model in community-based planning. HA continues our commitment by supporting the Legacy Subcommittee, supporting the resiliency legislation, and working with NPS to create a virtual walking tour, and funding a 3D massing study of City Dock area. And through this digital tool, we can import your plan to show accurately and completely what the true project will look like. We have listened to concerned neighbors from across Annapolis. People feel that they are being left out of the process. Please continue the conversation with the public and the CDAC to produce the best version of the City Dock project while protecting and preserving the historic character and scale of Annapolis, so prized by its citizens and visitors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Janet Katz. I don't have you.
Do you need my address, or you have it? Okay. My husband and I have owned property in Annapolis since 2003. As city residents, we have seen
Janet, if you just do full name and address, please. Thank you. Yeah.
Janet Katz, 143 Spa Drive, Annapolis.
Spa Drive, thank you.
My husband and I have owned property in Annapolis since 2003. As city residents, we have seen Market House be a newsmaker for at least the past 2 decades. Not surprisingly, many taxpayers were suspicious when New Market House LLC was awarded operations at the property, considering Jody Danek as one of Mayor Buckley's business partners. Adding to speculation is that the first lease for 5,386 square feet at $8,000 per month translates into only $18.33 per square foot. Even the current lease at $8,400 per month has been pointed out by a local commercial real estate principal as exceptionally surprising and far below market value in downtown historic Annapolis. In addition to the untenable square footage rate, a Capital Gazette article earlier this month revealed that the mayor's business partner never filed financial reports, which were a requirement of the lease. In fact, lease obligations include: 1, submission of required gross sales reports beginning 90 days after the close of each fiscal year commencing in 2018. 2, payment of the required 2% percentage rate in any fiscal year in which gross sales revenue exceeds $1.5 million. According to comments by the Director of Finance, no amounts have been collected, nor have sales reports been provided since the lease inception. So the question is, will the city assess any late penalty and interest fees for these lease violations for any monies owed? Further reporting has revealed that a citizen has filed a fraud and abuse claim. Interestingly, Alderman Arnett commented during the audit committee meeting that he felt fraud and abuse had not taken place. So given that no investigation had taken place, what is the basis for Alderman Arnett's statement? Though he suggested the city consider hiring an outside investigator, who will commit and when will that happen? Considering the suspected malfeasance surrounding Market House to date, Annapolis City taxpayers insist on an independent audit to confirm the Market House lease is an arm's length transaction and not an inside deal that benefits business partners connected to this administration. And it's comparable to other retail property rental rates in historic downtown Annapolis submarket. Notwithstanding the favorable rent, it appears the lessee has violated the terms of the lease agreement. So the final question is, what action is City Council prepared to take against a possible lapse in fiduciary duty to the citizenry of Annapolis? Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Ed Hartman. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council, thank you. My name is Ed Hartman. I'm at 116 Defense Highway in Annapolis. I am here on behalf of the residents of Blue Heron Condominium Association on Wells Cove. I'm addressing Resolution 4323, which is going for first reader this evening. My clients are here. I would ask them to stand, identify themselves, just by standing.
John and Sherry Blueberry.
Just by standing. That's fine.
Thank you.
I only get 3 minutes, so I got to talk fast.
I use every opportunity.
You may be running for office. I'm not sure. So I'll speak quickly. The resolution which seeks to identify or grant public water access illegally interferes with an ongoing judicial process. This is sort of a fundamental violation of the separation of powers. In 1986 and 1992, there were documents created by developers of Blue Heron and by representatives of the city at that time. The interpretation of those documents, the rights and liabilities associated with those documents, is a matter for a judge, and a judge has undertaken it, but it's not done. Judge Morris has ruled, but there are questions as to the specific identities of where these riparian rights exist, because this city government identified that these folks and other neighbors actually have riparian rights that were established, identified, and defined by the port wardens 30 years ago. They cannot be taken away at this time. So there must be some other riparian right that nobody quite knows where it is, but it cannot interfere with existing property rights. There's no doubt that Maryland statutory law and the city code prevent that. But most importantly, this particular resolution is fatally vague. It says that the purpose is to ensure the public can walk along the Wells Cove waterfront. Now, the Wells Cove is a body of water. That would be saying along the Spa Creek waterfront or Chesapeake Bay waterfront. There are dozens of homeowners who have property along Wells Cove waterfront whom you are apparently leading to believe that they can walk, the public can walk through their front yard and trespass. That is a recipe for crime, violence, and trouble because of people innocently and honestly believe that they are entitled to trespass on other people's property due to a resolution. That's a difficult situation to resolve, which could result in trouble. It's also based upon a presumption that Blue Heron condominium closed off public access to the water. That never happened. Each one of these folks will tell you that they never blocked access. The question in the case is the interpretation of some old documents and what rights were intended at the time. Those rights are still uncertain in my belief. Going forward, the process must be allowed to complete itself because what has happened, again, 36 years ago and 32 years ago, is that certain rights and liabilities were established. Boy, that was quick. I'll be out of here real short. And nothing you can do now can change those. The property rights were distributed, established, and identified at that time. The courts are working through the system. I urge you not to make the situation worse by misleading people into believing that they have rights that are not yet identified or defined, and especially given the vague nature of this particular resolution, which is so broad as to lead people to believe that they can walk on anyone's property. So I would request rescission tonight and at least reconsideration at the very least of the resolution 4323 and an opportunity at which I can present more specific and detailed testimony and evidence at a public hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you. Tara, I had you down on this sheet here, so if you want to come forward now, please. Yeah.
Okay, I probably signed the wrong one,
Yeah.
sorry. Tara Stout, 1118 August Drive. I attended a recent review of the comp plan. Eric Lashinsky and Rhonda did a great job explaining the process and the findings. The report confirms what most of us probably thought, that there is a significant divide between the haves and the have-nots, and socioeconomic and racial segregation remain prevalent in the city. You don't need to be an expert in public safety or psychology to know that everyone wants to live in a safe community, and psychological well-being is predicated on having hope for the future. The living conditions at HACA, as we've heard at these council meetings over the past several months, are horrific. Whether it's mold and rodents or gunfire, it's traumatic. Trauma impacts the brain and fuels mental illness. The communities, even if crime-free, are not vibrant with active green spaces. They are concrete meccas where temperatures rise and quality of life falls. Annapolis is a small city, so basic economics of supply and demand impact housing affordability. The comp plan identifies the missing middle as 80% to 120% of average median income, and HACA is for those earning 50% or less. For someone to jump from 50% to 80%, they need to get a 60% raise. To jump from 50% to 60%, you need a 20% raise. Where does the comp plan identify those jobs? The flashing signs show the starting salary for a police officer is $61,500. That salary is 70% of AMI, so wouldn't qualify as missing middle. If a recent high school graduate from HACA was interested in signing up to be a police officer, their reward for doing so would be forced relocation out of the city. It's not rocket science. Adopting a comp plan that forces residents to choose between earning less, relocating, or homelessness likely contributes to all this illegal activity. It's the income source necessary for their survival. The city is in the midst of a class action lawsuit alleging disparity of treatment by HACA residents stemming from, quote, urban renewal. So this doesn't seem like a strong defense in that case. If the missing middle is intended to provide housing for police and firefighters, shouldn't we at least tie the percentage to the starting salaries of those positions? The mixed-use requirement being proposed to get density is not compatible for the low-income housing tax credit model. They are for housing, not commercial development. Yet it's HUD's most important resource for affordable housing and has strict oversight and was designed to provide better opportunities and less concentrated poverty. The city is late to this game and needs more low-income housing tax credit communities, but the comp plan doesn't seem to have focused on identifying sites likely to qualify. I shouldn't be surprised. The Willows process showcased the subjectivity of the city's approval process as well as the bias on Planning Commission. The city's hope is to engage with private developers to fill this 80% to 120% void, but the city's finance director said they didn't have the resources to track the Market House lease that they're the landlord in. How will they ever track leases between private parties? Let's start working with HUD, HAC, and the Department of Housing and Community Development and nonprofit partners like HIP to allow the pursuit of more low-income housing tax credit developments and provide a hand up to a better life for people. Let's fix the zoning to allow for these developments, because there are infill opportunities out there that would check the boxes for funding. We need all of you to show the same passion for fixing this housing and public safety crisis that you showed for Hillman Garage and the city dock. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara.
Mr. Mayor, just a comment. I don't need a response from anybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm not sure where this narrative comes from, and it really irks my nerve that there is a lack of care, compassion, empathy, that we are not working on the housing problem. I don't know anybody, but if anyone in the audience knows somebody that can fix the housing crisis in 4 years and has the funding, mechanisms, can get up here and pass the zoning codes to be in the necessary places for density bonuses and all that stuff, point me to the person and I'll give them the seat myself so they can get done. We have meet behind the scenes so often, it's not even funny, working on housing initiatives. We just tried housing legislation that would have significantly changed zoning, and we ran into headbutts with that. We went back to the drawing board, and we're meeting with the planning and zoning staff, the same staff that's working on the 2040 Ahead plan. And so I just, the narrative that we are not working, or that we don't care about the housing and HACA, just really, it bugs me. We also just passed $500,000 for landlords to be able to take care of deferred maintenance. That's never been done before in the city. And so, again, we're a city with a $157 million budget, maybe 170 and some change. We do what we can with what we have. If we had the funding to fix all of the problems at HACA, I mean, I feel like this body would have done it. Thank you.
Thank you. On we go. Anyone else like to come forward and speak during public testimony? Please come forward now.
Good evening. I'm Stanford Womack. I reside at 21 Solar Panel Road, Annapolis, Ward 1. Honorable Mayor, councilwomen, and men. I'm here to speak on behalf of Ordinance 3223, the Annapolis All-Stars, as if you didn't know. The Annapolis All-Stars is a youth sports organization. We started in 1989, and we were incorporated in 1991. We started with 2 football teams, and by 1991, we had grown to 6 football teams, 13 basketball teams, and 4 baseball teams. We had all 4 cheerleading squads also. Our motto is, in order for the kids to play on the weekends, they're required to attend what we call study hall at the Bates Middle School 1 night a week, for 2 hours. We were also granted a 501c3 nonprofit status from the IRS in 1992. We had to pause the program in 2010 for personal reasons. In 2015, just to give you guys a little background on where we are, in 2015, the group another group attempted to restart the program as the Annapolis All-Stars 2. They reapplied for 501c3 status, and it was granted. However, by 2019, they weren't able to field any teams. They had some issues that they just couldn't resolve. They couldn't register any players. So they contacted me and asked me to step in to help to get the program off the ground. By 2021, we had registered over 170 kids, ages between 4 and 14 for football, 150 for basketball, and 35 for baseball. We have revised the study hall program, and now we call it our ACES program, which means Academic Career Enhancement Sports Program, and it's still 1 night a week at Bates Middle School. We currently have over 40 volunteers and coaches. Our mission is to enhance the quality of life and promote the human and community development through combined efforts of youth, adults, awareness in the areas of academics, socioeconomic conditions, community resources, leadership, team building, problem solving, decision makings, and bridging ethnic and cultural barriers. I know that's a mouthful, but we work hard to try to accomplish it. We recognize that our athletes, our staff, our volunteer coaches and parents come to us from different circumstances and that determine who they are. Our goal is to meet them where they are so that they're able to gain the most out of our program. Wow. Over the years, we have touched thousands of kids. I'll just make this real brief and short, guys. I've estimated that for the 3 programs throughout the year, we put in roughly 9,261 volunteer hours. And at 25 coaches for just a nominal fee of $15 an hour, we're looking at $3,472.85. Okay, if the city'd like to write us a check for that, we'd be glad to give you $15,000 back. No questions asked. But I just ask you to really consider this ordinance. It would really be beneficial and a shot in the arm for our organization. If we have to pay this, we can't do it. We won't have a program. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward for comments by the general public? I declare public comments closed. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing beginning with ordinance O5422, sign regulations, shopping center sign requirements, for the purpose of expanding sign requirement exceptions regarding front-lit signage for shopping centers in B2 community shopping zoning districts, and generally dealing with sign regulations in the city of Annapolis.
Thank you. I don't have anybody signed up to speak. Would anyone like to come forward and speak on O-54-22? Okay, I declare the public hearing closed. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
The next item on the agenda is the legislative actions on first reader, beginning with ordinance 02223, business license, taxes and regulations, creation of an art establishment beer and wine license for the purpose of creating a City of Annapolis beer and wine license for specific art venues as authorized by Maryland Code, Alcoholic Beverages Code, Section 10-1002, per House Bill 353 and Senate Bill 472, which was signed by Governor Wes Moore on May 3rd, 2023, and generally related to the alcohol beverages chapter of the City Code.
Can I get a motion to adopt O-22-23?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I'd like to refer O-22-23 to Planning Commission, Economic Matters Committee, Rules and City Government Committee, and the Alcohol Beverage Control Board. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is ordinance 02323, Alcoholic Beverages Code Technical Corrections, for the purpose of making technical corrections to the alcohol beverage section of the City of Annapolis Code and generally dealing with Title 7, Section 12.
Can I get a motion for O-23-23?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? I'd like to refer that to Economic Matters Committee and the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board.
Can we send that to Rules also, please?
Sure. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is ordinance O-2423, issuance of general obligation bonds and bond anticipation notes for the purpose of authorizing and empowering the City of Annapolis, the city, to issue and sell upon its full faith and credit one or more series of its general obligations bonds in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $26,616,084. The bonds.
Could I get a motion to adopt O-24-23 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Alderman Pindell-Charles?
Mr. Mayor, before we go on, and I don't know if they're going to be here for the entire meeting, but I just want to acknowledge 2 summer interns that we had this summer with the Planning and Zoning Department. I wanted to say that because I promised them I would recognize them at the meeting tonight. They may not stay till the end, but I'd just like to say thank you all very much.
All right, take us. Thank you. Future leaders, thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Let's refer O-24-23 to the Finance Committee and the Financial Advisory Commission. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is Resolution R3823, FY 2024 Annual Fee Schedule, Art Establishment Liquor License Fee for the purpose of specifying the fee for the new art establishment liquor license.
Could I get a motion to adopt R-38-23 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, Alderman Gay?
Can I just ask a quick question to the sponsor? Any reason why it's specified to art organizations and not maybe art and nonprofit?
I think it's driven by Maryland Hall. Am I the sponsor or are you, Ellie?
I am, but you're correct.
And they're just trying to get in line with the state, and that's the state's aligned it so that some of the nonprofits can have a general annual license, that they can have multiple events instead of individual.
Yeah, I get that. So the nonprofits some are included?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Let's refer R3823 to the Finance Committee. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is Resolution R4323, Public Water Access at Wells Cove Inlet in Eastport, for the purpose of ensuring the public can walk along the Wells Cove waterfront and enter the water to use small crafts such as kayaks and paddleboards at the Wells Cove Inlet.
Is there a motion to adopt R-43-23 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh.
Sorry. Did you have a question on it? Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to, I'd like to request a public hearing at the next meeting on the night of the second reader.
Okay, great. Thank you. Alderman Gay?
Is this going to committees?
I don't see it.
I would actually, to come to Housing and Human Welfare.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we did vote on it. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
Next item on the agenda is legislative actions on second reader, beginning with the ordinance O-4922, Planning and Zoning, Parking and Loading Regulations, Parking Fee in lieu of meeting off-street parking requirements, for the purpose of authorizing a parking fee in lieu for certain businesses required to provide parking spaces, and generally related to off-street parking requirements.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to postpone, I believe, Alderman Annette?
So I move we postpone for 60 days, but also send this back to the Rules Committee.
Second.
Can I just confirm the date on that? Would that be September 25th?
Yes.
For the second meeting in September, which will allow us to go to committee?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Alderman Chandler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quick point of order question. Is this time to offer fellow thoughts before the vote, or on the vote, postpone the vote, or is that have to be?
It's on the floor, so we're about to vote to postpone it, but please give us some thoughts.
Since we started this debate, 8 cities have just eliminated parking requirements, like entirely. They haven't fallen into anarchy and chaos or off into the cliff, into the sea. It's really frustrating and embarrassing that we continue to spin our wheels on this. It shows an inability to tackle serious issues. I understand some of the frustrations in some of the neighborhoods, but frankly, those neighborhoods should have had permits and meters decades ago, and we just are willing to keep using some of the most ridiculous land use decisions to hold back opportunity for folks. In other parking requirement news, there is a member of Congress who has actually put forward a bill to end all parking requirements at the federal level. It likely won't pass, current Congress being what it is, but it shows that this is gaining steam nationwide. And we're still spinning this to do it for outdoor dining, which a lot of people loved during the pandemic. It was one of the few bright spots in showing how that was a better use of community space than for car stores. So this vote's gonna go how it is, but folks, it's really, really silly that we continue to spin our wheels on this.
Thank you, Alderman Annette. Then Alderman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand the Alderman's frustration. I'm frustrated as well. But I do think it's important to get this legislation right, and it is very complicated. A couple of weeks ago, I asked the planning staff and the Office of Law staff to meet, and my specific request to the planning staff was, will you look at this every which way and come back and tell me things that you believe need improvement, or in fact even to be addressed that hadn't been addressed. And I'm pleased to say that they came back with copious comments which told me that we are still not ready for prime time. Subsequent to that, there's been a very significant Seventh Amendment offered to the legislation. And while they think there's some merits to the thoughts going behind there, it undoes all of, or many of the preceding amendments. And so I think we need to get a sense of priority on what it is exactly that we want to accomplish. And I apologize for being old and slow, but I do think that it's important to get this right. And I do feel that my ward is a ward that is at ground zero in terms of the impacts from this legislation. And as you have all seen in emails you received today, there is not a consensus amongst my constituents. So I am striving to get this to the best possible place. And if that takes a little bit more time working with planning and law, I really request that we be given that time. So thank you for your consideration.
Alderman Neal and Alderman Tierney. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman Chandlemeyer, would you mind sharing that data that other cities that have just eliminated?
It can be found at the Parking Reform Network. I will share that resource with everybody.
Parking Reform Network.
Parking Reform Network, it's a website, showcases parking requirement reform throughout the nation. It's broken down by partial adjustments, citywide adjustments, region-wide adjustments. I also, while I have the floor, I'm gonna go ahead and call out on YouTube, there's the network called Climate Town, which is done by a climate PhD, Raleigh Williams, who broke down just how truly arbitrary the parking requirements are. It's a fascinating 30-minute video. I highly recommend it if you got 30 minutes to sit and kill and want to listen to a pretty entertaining talk about parking.
Thank you.
Alderman Tierney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Although I am a co-sponsor or initial sponsor of this legislation, I do defer to my colleague, Alderman Arnett, because as he says, the majority of the situation is in Eastport. However, what drove me to initiate this legislation was a pilot study that was done September 23rd, 2022, that has a lot of information and data in it. You know, we do these studies for a reason, and it gets a little frustrating when we just sort of put them aside. But in that study, it did talk about the expense to the city on dining expansions, and this was again a compromise. And you know, previously someone spoke of of Market House, let me remind you that Market House, McGarvey's, Middleton's, Federal House, the 5 of them are paying an exorbitant amount, justifiably so, for market space, having that outside dining. So the fact that we just keep postponing this and allowing this outside dining without some sort of structure is very frustrating to me. So I hope, all I'm asking is that when we do revisit this, that we go back to the study dated September 23rd. It's called the Annapolis Outdoor Dining Pilot Analysis. It has a lot of information and a lot of data in it that should be considered. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I do share the rationale as far as this is, I think potentially it could impact Eastport more than others, so I think it's worth time to see if it can be improved. But I also would ask my colleagues to support postponement, because I agree with the premise, and I'm trying to improve it with some of my amendments as far as getting us to, I think, the point where we want to go and help supporting some of the solutions. But as Alderman Arnett pointed out today, there are some problems with the amendments, and we're working on a correction to it. And so I myself also need some more time. And so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of the postponement say aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Against?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda, Ordinance 01723, Administration, requiring the city manager to provide staff and impact statements on pending legislation for the purpose of requiring staff reports on charter amendments, ordinances, and resolutions that include the impact of the legislation on staff and levels and duties. Changing when staff reports regarding legislation must be submitted to the council, making clarifying changes to impacted subsections and generally related to the city council procedure.
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson, I think you...
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would request that we postpone 01723 until the 25th of September. While I thought this legislation was pretty straightforward, there's been a little muddying of the waters, and so I think I'd rather postpone and get it right. So I would make that request.
Thank you. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
The next item on the agenda is Ordinance 01923, Property Tax Credits for 911 Specialists and Public Safety Officers. For the purpose of granting property tax credits and property tax relief allowed by the Maryland state law for the City of Annapolis 911 Specialists and Public Safety Officers in the Annapolis Fire Department and Police Department, and generally related to city tax credits.
Could I get a motion to adopt 0-19-23?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Chandler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor for this, and this is a very good small step to take to help bring our public servants better access and opportunity to live in the city that they serve. We know that it doesn't include every one of our public employees. The folks at Housing and Human Welfare are very aware of that. We are doing everything we can to try and make this city a city for all. And these little piecemeal approach is basically how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So it's a good step. I appreciate the work that Alderman Gay and Alderman Tierney did on it, and thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Gay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. As the Alderman said, I think this is simple, and I have a feeling, hopefully, that it will pass with no issues. Let me just thank Cynthia Router, because she put a lot of time and thought into this and making sure that it aligned with the state code, which was necessary because we did get a little pushback, but it's finally out and I'm excited. And as Brooke said, you know, and alluding to the comments made earlier, we have such a huge housing problem that there is no legislation that we can put in and it will solve every single, you know, issue, whether it be zoning, affordability, condition, etc. And so we got to start somewhere. Here is a small place. I think this affects 8 employees to the tune of like $16,000 or something like that. And so appreciate it.
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson, then Alderman Pindell Charles.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to be added as a co-sponsor on this legislation.
Thank you. Alderman Pendle Charles.
Ditto.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt O-19-23 on third reader?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Yes.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Alderman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Chandler
Aye.
That resolution, that ordinance passes.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
The next item on the agenda is Ordinance O-2023, Chesapeake Nautical Cruises LLC lease, for the purposes of authorizing a City of Annapolis pilot lease with Chesapeake Nautical Cruises LLC for docking space at City Dock and generally related to City Dock boat slips and boardwalk.
Motion to withdraw.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to withdraw. The lessee has stated that he's only going to get about 2 weeks out of this due to how long it's taken, which makes it not financially feasible for a business to use the pilot program that we all voted on to do just this sort of thing. So, motion to withdraw.
Thank you. Alderman Savage.
I just want to point out for, I think, next summer, to, I guess, for the city manager, we did discuss this at the last Environmental Matters Committee meeting, and I think we talked about how I think there would be benefit to getting some advanced information before next summer as far as recommendations from the harbor masters, or as what maybe advertising this earlier, because I think this was just a kind of a last minute pilot program, see how it goes, but for next year to get some recommendations from the harbor master as far as what type of leases should be granted and what this would look like. I think that'll help prepare for any kind of subsequent leases that would get submitted to us. Because I apologize, I may have missed it, but I wasn't aware of the pilot program when they all started to come in a couple months ago. So I may have missed that.
It is fair to say that some of this was kind of thrown at us last minute. But yeah, let's withdraw it.
Thank you. Alderman Gay, and then Alderman Arnett.
Yeah, thank you. I know he's withdrawing, and I'm going to support that, obviously, with him being the sponsor. But let me just say on the record with the leases for, water access, and I now see a lot of water activities here in Annapolis. You can get on the back of a boat and float through the sky around here now. And I think that's all fascinating, and it excites me because we are promoting water access. I think the thing that concerns me, and I said this when he brought it forward, we're promoting water access for those that can afford it. And I don't want to be super ignorant and say I can't think of, but I mean, because I can, the street end parks, obviously, in Alderman Arnett's wards, where you can walk up and, maybe stick a foot in or something like that. But again, I just would hope that when we bring forward leases like this and keep in consideration things like Baltimore, where if they are leasing out their waterfront properties or their shoreline properties, they're also requiring some sort of environmental justice component be attached to that. And I think that's something that we should look at for our leases, because, we are the capital city, the Sailing Hall of Fame, but we still have, struggle with water access, even to the point of the amendment that the alderman is, the resolution that the alderman is introduced for waters, Hawkins, or Wells Cove, I'm sorry, so many of them. So simple, and it seems relatively small, and we just keep getting feedback. And so whatever we can control, I think we mandate it there, that there has to be some sort of environmental justice component attached to it.
Alderman Arnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support Alderman Savage's notion of getting recommendations from the harbor master about the use of these city dock facilities, but I think we need to go further. I think we need to develop a policy such as that we developed for the special events. This is a very scarce commodity. It's a very valuable commodity. It's a commodity that could be something that would provide millions of dollars of free advertising when you see tall ships or classic boats in the harbor. But it also could be a facility that would allow much more access to on-the-water activities. something that's in short supply in the city. So I think we need to do some thinking and develop an overall policy and hierarchy of how we grant the use of those facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Savage.
Sorry, yeah, just quick. I think that's a great idea, Alderman Gay and Alderman Arnett, as far as if we could put together some, I guess, evaluation measures for the lease program. I think we maybe talk about priorities and get a good balance between those. Make sure we have some folks there that are speaking to the equity component, environmental justice, education, entertainment. I think it'd be good to have a nice mix. And hopefully at some point get some of our dock back from DNR.
Yes. So we have a motion to withdraw O-20-23. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is Resolution R3123, Annapolis Classic Wooden Sailboat Race and Rendezvous, dock and fee waiver. For the purpose of waiving certain fees for docking the Annapolis Classic Wooden Sailboat Race and Rendezvous at the Annapolis City Dock for September 8th through September 10th, 2023.
Is it withdrawn? I thought this was being withdrawn. Huh?
It's on the agenda, isn't it?
Yep.
So I move we withdraw it. They're not able to mount that. They kind of got bumped in favor of a Navy football game voter, so this is another reason why we need a policy.
Second.
Got a second on that. Okay. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is Resolution R3223, Annapolis All-Stars Youth Sports Program Fee Waiver for the purpose of waiving certain City of Annapolis fees for Annapolis All-Stars 2, Inc., a youth sports program.
I think this is being withdrawn as well, right? Alderman Savage?
Yeah, and I can explain why, or the mayor.
Okay,
I'd like to move to
get a
withdraw.
motion? Thank you. And then a second?
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Savage?
Yeah, do you want me to go into it, or the city manager, or you, as far as?
Mr. City Manager, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Michael Malinoff, City Manager. We discussed this with the mayor's office, and we'll be availing ourselves of the ability to waive the fee through the mayor's office approval on this particular use. We're also going to be looking at other similar instances where fees are being waived, and also for events, because we don't seem to have a very good tracking of all of that, and we want to come back with the council with that information so that we can do a better job of budgeting and tracking for this in the future.
And Alderman Savage?
Yeah, just to follow up a bit, and thank you, Mr. City Manager, just to try to offer some further clarity. This is being withdrawn because the idea, I think, is that this is going to be done for all of the organizations that are involved with this particular fee and the facility fee. And also it's going to be looked at for doing as a blanket for a number of events, type of events. So we'd rather, I think it is a good move to do this as a whole instead of piecemeal. And that was the interpretation from the law, recommendation from the law office to do this as a whole instead of just for individual nonprofits. So just to assure the All-Stars that I think it's safe to say you will be getting the waiver, it's just going to be done as a group. Yeah, so thank you to the city manager and mayor. I think look forward to circling back on this in the fall.
Thank you. Alderman Gay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of questions. The first being, I'm not familiar with any protocol where the individual who did not introduce or sponsor the legislation can make a motion to withdraw it.
I can just say once legislation is adopted on first reader, no matter who the sponsor is, the legislation belongs to the body.
First time hearing it. I appreciate the clarification. I don't recall anything like that happening since I've been here. My question is that will they have the opportunity to, or what is the expected timeline from the administration on waiving the fees? Is this something that you plan to do tomorrow? I'm assuming it's an executive order, so you can just write a signature.
I think Alderman Savage was initially going to defer. What were you proposing, Alderman Savage?
Originally I was proposing to defer or to waive basically the summer fees.
Yeah.
And so we'd have to get the exact timeline from but it's going to be up to, I think the mayor would be able to waive whichever particular time frame he wants.
So
But the other factor is that that'll be able to be done much quicker than us having to wait until October by the time we can take final action.
So the dates are July 18th through November 8th, and then it says July 10th through November 9th. And so are they currently able to participate in activities at these fields without any issues from the city or the county?
I think we're doing that across the board. So until we develop policy. So it was also a recommendation of Rosalind, Parks and Rec Director, that we should get the information in hand, bring it back to the council, and then the council can make a decision on where they want to go. So not only with fee waivers for sporting events, but also for events as well. So that information will be gathered as quickly as possible. And then it'll be brought back to the council.
Thank you so much. And then again, just for the record, to be clear, the Annapolis All-Stars are permitted to practice on the schedule that they had submitted without any interruption if this is withdrawn.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mr. City Manager, if you want.
And just is this did we do the same thing for the swim team? I thought we waived all of their. Okay. Just very confusing. I mean, I figured we were doing it like this.
Indirectly, they were waived as well, right?
What was done with them and the sports teams is there was a proposal to increase the facility fees for fields as well as the pool in this budget. But through a budget amendment, we removed the increase to keep it as is. But I think what we didn't quite realize was the as is still rather impactful, hence the action from the mayor. And then we'll come back at some point once we get all the data to make a final change to the fee schedule. So determining factors such as, what's a reasonable, I'm not so interested in what's competitive, but I'm more interested in what's reasonable so we can allow these groups to provide their service to the city.
Of course, and that's the bottom line. That's all I care about, is making sure that, one, they are able to take advantage of the athletic opportunities extended and offered, but two, the mentorship, the academic support, all of the things that he explained earlier, without interruption, and so I appreciate it.
Alderman Finlayson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to clarify the question that Alderman Gay was asking. So the All-Stars will not only be allowed to practice, but to hold their games also, so they can begin immediately. Is that what I'm understanding is going to be the process?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Net.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's not just the fees that I'm concerned about. I'm worried that we may not be properly fully budgeting Parks and Recs, Harbor Master. I really would, for policy purposes, I would like them all to be focusing on providing recreation, providing harbor services, not worrying about generating income. So I think we need to actually go back and look at why we're charging any fees at all. Now, some of that may be warranted because some of these participants don't pay city taxes, and so we need to think about that. But I think we really need to go back to why we're charging the fees, and it really should be to cover costs for providing services. But if we cover those costs in the budget for these departments and offices, then they shouldn't be driven by generating fees. They should be and I'm not saying they're not, but I think their primary focus should be on delivering services. And so I'd like, when we consider all of this, to think about that service delivery as the prime objective. These programs for the athletes are the very thing that our dearly beloved Robert Eads used to talk about. We don't have programs for kids to participate in to keep them occupied, keep them off the street, keep them out of mischief. And I think that's something that Alderwoman Pendle Charles has been focusing on with Action Annapolis. So I think the more that we can provide these services without any kind of encumbering fees, the better. That we're all better off. So I hope we think about that when we're looking at the fees.
Absolutely, we fully support everything that you're doing, and we're just trying to understand what the numbers are, and then the council as a body can move forward after that. Do we vote on that? Sorry?
No, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Mayor, Michael Malinoff, City Manager. I do want to get this information back to the council as soon as possible in the early fall. So it's really our goal, because administratively it's very difficult when one group is getting a fee waiver versus another, and who gave that waiver versus who has the authority. So that's really what our goal is, and then bringing it all forward so that you can make a conscious and well-informed decision on it, and so that it doesn't give our finance director a heart attack. She's going to
Thank you. So we've got a motion to withdraw. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is Resolution R4023, Director of Planning and Zoning, Christopher Jacobiak, for the purpose of confirming the appointment of Christopher Jacobiak as the Director of Planning and Zoning for the City of Annapolis, and consenting to compensate the Director.
So moved. Thank you. We've got a motion and a second, please.
Second.
Right, you might get a standing ovation for this, so be ready. Okay. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Yes.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shandelmeyer?
Aye.
The resolution passes.
All right.
We didn't scare him away.
Now, I forced you on the microphone last time, so I will spare you, but we are really glad to have you aboard. You're joining an excellent group of directors who are doing great things in this city, delivering great services, and we're really happy that you've joined the team. Thank you so much. Alderman O'Neill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Could I request that we have his name spelled out phonetically for the first couple of months?
Awesome. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
The agenda is complete.
Okay, is there anything else for good or... Huh? Oh, do we swear in? Do we do that now? No? Alderman O'Neill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish one of our members a very happy, can I say it? 80th birthday.
All right.
We have cupcakes.
Yay.
Thank you.
Happy 60th, Ross.
All right. Yeah.
You could run for president,
Oh
you
my
know
gosh.
that.
I know. I'm so much younger.
Alderman Tierney.
Yeah, I would like the interns to at least introduce themselves and say their names if possible. Could we do that? They stayed for the whole meeting. Can you come up to the mic and just say your name? Don't be shy.
Hi, I'm Eva Gilchrist, and I'm actually working in central purchasing. Hi, I'm Mackenzie Adams.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies.
Oh, planning and zoning.
Thank you. So what are we doing, taking one and passing? Oh, okay. Okay.
Alderman Savage.
I just also want to say that our condolences and sympathies to our colleague from Ward 5, 4. We look forward to having you return, and our thoughts are with you.
Thank you, and I was raising my hand to be recognized, but I'll take the opportunity to say thank you for all of your acts of kindness and your condolences. The flowers, the cards, the messages. My family deeply appreciates it, so thank you.
Everybody got a cupcake? How are we going to do that? I mean, we should wrap this up. Anything else for good order? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favour say aye. Aye. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.